So I'm just going to start off by mentioning Makeover Monday. So if you guys haven't heard of it, you should definitely check it out. It's an initiative run by Andy Kriebel and Andy Crotgreave, where they publish a visualization and the data set behind the visualization every week, and they challenge the community to make over that visualization and improve it and share it. It's a great initiative that I try and get involved in as often as I can. Why I really enjoy using or get involved in Makeover Monday is I use it to try new things out, to test my skills in Tableau and to push myself to see what I can do. So I'm going to show you an example of one of those visualizations that I've used on a Makeover Monday dataset. The dataset that I'm going to be talking about is about the Global Peace Index, which is a rating for how peaceful a country is or not, and how that's changed over the years. I was looking for some inspiration about how I could visualize that data, and I was reminded of this article that I saw in The Economist a few weeks before, where they'd taken a regular scatter plot and shifted it 45 degrees. And what I really liked about this is the fact that it used all the principles of a scatter plot, the fact that you're comparing two measures. And if you think about a scatter plot, that kind of 45-degree angle in the scatter plot is where those two measures are equal. So anything above or below that line is where one of the measures is greater than the other. But what happens when you shift the scatter plot and shift it 45 degrees so that 45-degree line becomes the horizontal? It becomes a lot easier to see the differences between those two measures where something has changed. So I thought it was quite an innovative take on a kind of classic scatter plot, and something I hadn't seen before, something I hadn't seen in Tableau before. So I thought the Makeover Monday dataset was a perfect opportunity to try and build this in Tableau. So the key thing for me was to realize the fact that Tableau basically uses kind of X and Y coordinates to plot the marks on the viz. Once you start thinking about Tableau in that way, it kind of unlocks the ability to start kind of building what you want or building different things in Tableau. So my problem was I needed to take all those marks on the scatter plot and move them around 45 degrees. Now most people will think of a coordinate in kind of X and Y Cartesian coordinates. But you can describe every point in X and Y. You can also describe it in something called polar coordinates, where R is the distance from the 0, 0, the kind of center point, and theta is the angle round from the horizontal. The fact that it's got an angle in describing where that point is means that it's very simple to just take 45 degrees off that angle to get the shifted position. So that's the maths and how to do it. The problem is then how to put it into Tableau. Now, if you don't like maths, that might look slightly scary. However, yeah, probably a good audience for that. However, you can pretty much just plug that calculation straight into Tableau and it will calculate it for you. So you don't actually need to know what it's doing. You can plug it straight in. The workbook is on my Tableau public site. You can download that, and it's got the calculations in as well. And like I said, for the angle, you just literally take 45 degrees off that. So you've converted from Cartesian to polar. But if you remember, Tableau works in X and Y coordinates. You have to convert back to X and Y. Again, lucky there's a formula or formulas you can use to convert back. So again, you can put that into Tableau. So there's those 5 calculations that I've just shown you. You plug them into Tableau. You should get something like this. So that is where all the points have been shifted around, and they're around that horizontal line. That's great, but what it doesn't have is the grid lines, and you can't quite see, with the horizontal and vertical axis, it doesn't quite work. So it needs a bit more work to it. So I'm just going to quickly show you how I created those grid lines. I'm actually it's an extension of a technique I saw from Andy Kriebel's blog, where he created a 45-degree reference line. So if you duplicate a measure, and now I'm comparing 2008 by 2008, so you get a straight line. If you put a trend line on that data, you can see that's starting to look what you need to. If you dual axis that and synchronize, you've then got your 45-degree line. You can get rid of the marks and the colors from underneath that line. So that gives you one line. This is the rotated scatter again. So I'm just going to do those same steps again quickly, just to show you. Trend line. Again, just getting rid of the size and the color. I don't want marks on that. So the trick from here is then, so that's my initial 45-degree reference line that I had before, but that's only one line. I need to add in 5 or 6 other different lines. The trick is to drag another measure on top of that axis, and you change from just being sum of y to be measure values, and you've got 2 measures there. But actually, you can see it's still only producing one reference line. If you edit your trend line and show something's not quite right.
You can click on here if I mess up.
I've got a here's one I made earlier one. But I will show you just the fact that you can add measure values and you've got multiple lines. Actually, I'll take these ones off and then put them back in. That should work.
Check what's on the colour and your measure values.
Sorry, Lana?
So they check what was on your colour of your measure values.
I think it was the right one, but hopefully. But once you've got to measure values, you can then drag in your other measures, and it will then add multiple reference lines, one per measure. And so, but what I wanted to kind of, why I wanted to talk about this was to get people to see that a blank screen. That you can, if you use a bit of maths and realize that Tableau uses the kind of X and Y coordinates, you can start to create different visualizations past just the show me and the standard chart types. And hopefully I've kind of given a few people some inspiration to go off and try different viz types. Thanks so much for the time.